r/AskReddit by Redmond Dts. What was the final straw that ended a lifelong friendship? When I was a freshman in college, I shared a room with my best friend from high school. I kept a diary that I wrote in every day, and I would hide it in my locked closet. One day I came back from class to find her reading out loud from my diary to a group of our friends. She had broken into the closet just to get the diary. I haven't spoken to that bitch in 30+ years. My best friend of over 20 years, we both had kids about the same age, and our daughters were also best friends. She left her then 15-year-old with me for a week, while she went on a trip to Bali, no problem at all, and her daughter attempted to end her life. I took her to hospital, got care for her, sat by her bed for 3 days, made sure she was set up with a social worker, got her connected with the local mental health unit and youth services team, and put a plan in place to help her recover and move forward, etc. etc. Obviously I'd called her mum on day one and kept her appraised, but this woman not only didn't change her flights and come home, because it would have cost $200 to change the flights, she literally told me, "Oh, you don't have to go to the hospital every day to sit with her, that's what the nurses are for." And then when she finally got back, she flipped out at me for parenting her child behind her back. I'm still in contact with the kid. She's living independently and working as a baker's apprentice. She's got no contact with her mother, but she still rings me up when she needs a grown-up to talk to. I will never speak to that friend again. He had the gall to unexpectedly die on me. Kidding about the gall, I still miss him. I felt that I was doing all the legwork. I started every conversation, was the first one to email, text, etc. So one day, I decided I was going to wait for her to message first. And sure, here we are 18 years later. Kept borrowing money for me to feed their kids, or get their kids medication. It's an emergency. And truly, they were destitute. These instances were plausible. But one day, after being told one of the kids had been hospitalized and released home, and between the Uber rides to and from the hospital, they didn't have enough for his meds at the pharmacy, I signed on to Facebook and saw pictures of them, sick kid included, at a block party. Destroyed the friendship for me. For the record, I never expected them to pay back borrowed money for food or medicine. I was happy to help. Those kids were like my kids too. It was betrayal and finding out I wasn't loved like I loved that got me. Everything was someone else's fault. On both the macro and micro levels. If it was an interpersonal issue, it was never him at fault, ever. Relationship problems, always his partner's at fault. Even when the same reasons caused each breakup. Got into a verbal altercation at the bar. Someone else's fault completely. It was too exhausting. When I realized that me being a good friend to her was actually just me being a caretaker with poor boundaries and putting up with years of emotional abuse. When that fog lifted, it was completely life-changing. He was banging my wife for 3 years and had the temerity to say that it was my fault. He kept having kids with different girls and bailing on them. I just couldn't watch it anymore. I left after the third one. Pretty sure he's at 6 or 7 now. I realized that I was the only one that reached out. So I stopped reaching out, and that was that. I was diagnosed with cancer a year after moving across the country from my friends from high school. I didn't ask for them to do anything except play some online games with me while I recovered from surgery. Not one of them did. They were playing other games I could see in my various friends lists, but none of them would put aside the games they were playing to keep me company and take my mind off of things. No texts, no phone calls, nothing. The only thing I asked for was time or online company, and they put in zero effort. This was the last straw in a long string of feeling like an afterthought. It's been 9 years, and not a single one of them has even tried to contact me since then. Guess being an afterthought was too optimistic even. She was a key witness to my rape trial, but was too lazy to go into the police station to make a statement. She had 3 years to do it. I lost the trial, but it was close. I'll always wonder if I would have got justice if she had done it. Everything was a competition that my friend had to win. The day that she noticed my brand new jug and said that hers was bigger was the day I realized that I didn't want to be friends anymore. Found out he slept with my high school girlfriend and held that secret for 10 years. He also invited my 13-year-old sister out to drink and party with his or our friends. Drew the line, ended the friendship, and clocked him in the jaw for that one. I didn't learn he slept with my high school girlfriend until many years after the friendship ended. But that made a lot of things make complete sense. He was always extremely angry and ticked off at me whenever I spent time with her. He was never a friend really. We were supposed to move in together, the first move away from our parents. Fortunately, we were renting from my parents because the night before our move-in date, he called me to say he had gotten his own apartment earlier that day without me. He then listed entirely everything about me that annoyed him and every mistake and flaw I had that he knew about. Since he was my best friend, it was a lot. There was no sign this was coming. We had only ever argued a couple of times. I never knew that so much about me was so distasteful to him. I was devastated. A couple of weeks later, he called and came over until I spoke to him. He was very apologetic, for reasons I would have completely understood had he told me he had a breakdown and realized he needed to live on his own. Knowing it was going to mess things up for me, he made it my fault. He said he didn't mean any of it and was horrified about how he treated me. Yet it was so detailed and specific, going back years to incidents that I had no idea were an issue. There was just no fixing it. I could never feel comfortable and trust him again. On one hand, I miss people I used to know. I don't miss him or think of him often or with nostalgic fondness. My daughter doesn't know who he is when she comes across old pictures of us, but she knows about other old friends since I mentioned them. On the other hand, it's been 20 years. It's hard for me to have close friends still because I feel like they may be building lists of things I do wrong and ways I just am wrong and awful. And maybe they'll call one day when I least expect it and list it all. It wasn't good. She started routinely paying rent weeks late and blocked me from her social media so she could secretly post about going to concerts and music festivals with her rent money. He dated my best friend. They met because of me and she utterly trashed his heart and cheated on him. Just awful. I regret introducing them. Our friendship got ghosted during their relationship and after they broke up, it was clearly done. Sucks but I get it. Still miss the dude. Hope he's happier now that he got the fudge away from everyone. Best friend of 19 years tells me to go talk to a cute guy at a wedding. Guy and I hit it off and start a long distance relationship. Best friend of 19 years gives me the silent treatment for no reason for 3 weeks, including my birthday, because I told her that guy and I are doing really well. Best friend of 19 years starts talking to me again, but never explains herself and never apologizes for acting like a child. Never says she's happy, that I'm happy in a new relationship, never shows any support. Best friend of 19 years and I start hanging out again, but I keep a safe distance emotionally because why did she get upset about me starting a relationship with someone that she told me to go talk to in the first place? After 1.5 years of hanging out again, found out that best friend of 19 years still talks shit about my relationship behind my back. That was the final straw for me. Blocked on everything, moved on. Actually much less stress in my life since cutting her off. No longer best friend of 19 years. I had supported her through a terrible breakup cancelling her wedding the morning of, with an abusive alcoholic. That could be its own separate post, and countless other personal tragedies for a decade. She has a wonderful heart, but cannot get out of her own way, and is completely unreceptive to any type of advice, no matter how gentle. I became worried about her, as I noticed her mental health declining, and essentially had a come to Jesus with her, and 2 other friends in an incredibly supportive, safe setting. She lashed out at me, and said she was sick of my drama, and didn't need me as a friend, if I couldn't support her. I told her, if by support she meant, watch her spiral into yet another black hole she'll need help crawling out of, then she was right. I said, I'm always here to help you, but I can't watch this and do nothing. She never spoke to me again. It broke my heart, but after speaking to another former friend of hers with a similar experience, I realized it's just her pattern. He yelled at me for correcting him on the pronunciation of a word, something he did to me all the time, despite being wrong. He yelled and yelled at me. I said I'm done, bye, but not before calmly getting in one barb at him. He insulted the lady who has been my assistant for almost 30 years. Realized that we were only friends when they needed something, but was never around for me. Slept with my husband, then she blocked me. So stupid. He was an army vet and a staunch proponent of freedom of speech. He believed that anyone can say whatever they want, and there should never be any repercussions of any kind for whatever anyone says. I told him the guarantee of freedom of speech in the United States just meant the government can't arrest you. It doesn't mean freedom from social repercussions. He disagreed so vehemently, he blocked me and hasn't spoken to me since. Thereby proving my point, ironically. Taking an argument to the internet. They cropped one sentence of a very long message to make me look like the villain. They also did this the day after I attended my uncle's funeral. He was foaming at the mouth, saying he was going to kill me while swinging a baseball bat and destroying his own kitchen. She became very insecure and jealous when I got into law school. I came home to visit after my first semester, and we caught up over coffee. From my perspective, I had hardcore imposter syndrome. School was stressful and hard and scary, but I was learning a lot, challenging myself, and meeting nice people. She started to pull away, to no-show for phone dates, and to generally blow me off. When I finally got a hold of her, she told me, "You went off to law school and suddenly thought you were better and smarter than everyone else." My jaw was on the floor. That narrative existed nowhere but in her own mind. I told her she was wrong, and that her perspective hurt my feelings. She cried and yelled, "I know, I messed up about friendships with women." That was the last time we ever spoke. Said I deserved the death penalty for getting an abortion, and meant it. Dipshit called my employer, trying to get me fired over something personal between us. Freaking idiot. I'm a fairly introverted person. I don't need a lot of attention. My friend, who was also a cousin, was the opposite. She brought drama wherever she went, and it was always about her. She was fun to be around though, and it actually found it somewhat entertaining, but as we got older it started to wear on me. Then, I went through something really traumatic and needed support. She couldn't offer any. There just wasn't any way she could insert herself into my crisis, so she wasn't interested. That was the last straw. She reached out every few years and I basically told her to F off. The last time she messaged me, I just didn't respond. I couldn't even be bothered. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.